Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. We are jumping right in today. So I'm going to be cleansing the skin with the Garnier Micellar water. I did do a video before this video, so I had a bit of excess makeup on my face. I wanted to start with fresh skin. So I've gone in twice with Garnier Micellar water just to make sure that I'm starting with a fresh base. I'm then taking my Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Hydrating Primer and I'm applying that to my cheeks and just massaging that on the areas of my face that get the most dry. Then I'm taking Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Water to set everything in. Then I'm taking a Morphe spoolie, just use a spoolie of your choice, just to brush my brows in the direction that they naturally lie. Then I'm just taking a small flat brush. I don't know what flat brushes is, so I've linked one down below in the description box. I'm using this just to carve out my brows, and I've mixed two shades from the LA Girl Pro Conceal in the shades Chestnut and Toffee to create this shade. Once I'm happy with my carving out, I'm just going to spread the remainder of the product on my lid. Then I'm taking a deluxe crease brush by Real Techniques and I'm using this to blend the inner and outer corners of my concealer. Then I'm going to go over the full base on my eyelid to make sure it's all blended out and nice and seamless. You can use an eyeshadow brush to do this, just make sure it's nice and dense and make sure that your concealer is nice and even. Then using a damp Real Techniques sponge, I'm just using this to make sure everything's as blended out as it can be. Then picking up my favourite fluffy brush by Morphe, this is their E27 brush and I'm using this to apply the colour Jealous from the Juvia's Place Wahala 2 palette. I'm just going in between my crease and below my crease, patting this colour in and using small swiping motions. With eyeshadow, you want to keep repeating the same steps until you're happy with the colour payoff. To blend out the edges of Jealous, I'm using a Peaches and Cream PC37 brush, just going on the edges using round circular motions, no extra product, just blending that out with the PC37 brush. Then I'm going back in with my Morphe E27 brush using a little bit of Jealous just to go back into the crease. Then using a darker shade than Jealous in the palette, I can't pronounce the name but I've linked it down below in the description box, and using my base shadow brush by Real Techniques, I'm just packing this into my crease, again using circular motions to blend that out. Then picking up the Peaches and Cream PC37 brush that we used earlier, and now I'm going to be using this just above my crease to blend in Jealous and the darker shade and just go over those edges to make sure they're nicely blended together. Then I'm going to be taking the shimmer shade called Money from the Juvia's Place Wahala 2 palette, and I love to apply shimmers with my fingers. I feel like you get the best colour payoff and the most control. So at the moment I'm just applying this directly onto my lid below my crease. Using a flat fluffy brush of your choice, just use this to blend the shimmer up into your crease and pat the shimmer over your eyelid. Then to remove some of the shimmer fallout, I'm just using a cotton pad and some micellar water to wipe that away. Then picking up my LA Girl Pro Conceal in the shade Toffee, I'm applying a small amount of this underneath my eye as a nice base for our concealer, using the same flat brush we used earlier to carve out my brows, to spread that just beneath my eyelid and create a short kind of sharp wing at the end of our eye. Then I'm going to pick up my Crease Deluxe brush by Real Techniques that we also used earlier to blend out the concealer on our lid. Going to be using that to blend out the concealer below our eye. Then I'm taking a Real Technique smudger brush and using the darker shade and applying that directly under my waterline. You want to have the majority of the color towards the outer portion of your eye and then have a small gradient going towards the inner portion of your eye. So I'm just packing that color on and smudging it beneath my eye. Then taking a Real Technique smudge liner brush and the P. Louise paint in the shade Raver and applying this directly into my waterline for a pop of color. Apologies guys, I realize you can't actually see what I'm doing. I didn't realize I was still zoomed in, but what I'm doing is applying money to the inner corner of my eye, and a really good brush to do this is the same smudge liner brush that I used to apply Raver into my waterline. I've also gone in with my favourite mascara by Lancome called Monsieur Big, and then going in with my full lashes by Coco Honey Cosmetics in the style Chocolate. I've left my discount code in the description down below. I applied these lashes using the green duo glue. If you're new to applying lashes, I would recommend the blue one, but if you're more advanced, I'd recommend the green one. Then I'm going to be taking a Morphe brush. This is their E36 brush, and I'm applying a silverish shimmer to my inner tear duct. This is actually from the Clientele palette. It's not from the Wahala 2 palette, but any silver shimmer will do. This is the finished eye look. And I'm going to be moving on to the other eye, and I'm going to be doing that off camera, so I'll see you guys in a sec. Both eyes are done, and I hope you guys can see how easy and quick the eye look was to do. Now we're going to be moving on to skin. So what I like to use is the Becca Evermatte Poreless Primer, and I apply that into my T-zones. As you can see, this is a very stiff primer. When you put it on, it's not stiff, but when you try and blend it out, it is stiff, so it definitely does fill in your pores. So I've just applied that in the areas where I get the most oily. Then I'm going to be using my favorite foundation, which is the MAC Face and Body Foundation in the shade N9. It's very watery and very lightweight, so I like to apply it with my fingers first, and then I'm going to be using a Real Techniques sponge to blend all of that out. Then I'm just using a slightly larger flat brush than the one I used to carve out my brows earlier. This is from Boots and it doesn't have a name, so I've linked an alternative one down below. And I've mixed the shades Chestnut and Toffee from LA Girl Pro Conceal, and I'm just applying this directly under my eyes. I like to use a flat brush first because it allows me to have that guide and the correct placement of where I want my concealer to be. Then I'm going to be using a damp Real Technique sponge again, and I'm just going to be blending this out. Then using the small flat brush that I used to carve out my brows, I'm applying a small dot at the end of my nose and a thin line in the middle of my nose, and using the same Real Technique sponge to blend the concealer out. mixing translucent medium deep and translucent honey from Laura Mercier loose setting powder. I'm using my PC03 Peaches and Cream brush to apply this to my under eyes. Then I'm going to be using the same mixture with my Real Technique sponge and applying this to my nose. Then, just to make sure that everything's pressed into the skin, I just go back over with my Real Technique sponge under my eyes, on my nose, and any areas where I've applied powder. Using Fenty Beauty's Sunstalker bronzer in the shade Mocha Mummy, I used a Juvia's Place 123 tapered brush to apply it to the hollows of my cheeks. Couldn't find this brush online, so I've linked an alternative one down below. I don't know where the footage went for me doing the other side of my face, so I apologize for that. But I did go into doing my nose contour, so I used a PC11 Peaches and Cream brush to apply the same Sunstalker Mocha Mummy bronzer. Again, going in with my Real Technique sponge to make sure everything's nicely blended together. Then I'm using the same Peaches and Cream brush that I used to set my under eyes, and I'm using this to apply the Oma Beauty highlighter in the shade Barbados. Then using the same brush that I used to contour my nose, I'm applying Oma Beauty's highlighter on my brow bone. Going back in with my spoolie, just brushing my brows in the direction that they naturally lie. Then I'm going to be using my Rimmel London eyebrow pencil in the shade Black Brown to fill in my brows. Then going in with Fenty Beauty's Pro Kisser Lip Balm in Hint Hint. Then setting the face with Urban Decay's All Nighter Spray. And here's the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Stay safe, stay positive, and I hope to see you all soon.